Ask yourself the damn question. Is winning the only thing we do?
Sports today are not just played on the field. They're played every day, online, all over the world, by sports fans just like you.
Don't you dare breathe. That won't get you anywhere. If you don't think you're a winner, you don't belong here.
The Star Fantasy League Show puts you in control of your own team. Find out who to sit, who to start, how to play, and have your daily fantasy sports questions answered with your host, Jonathan Sprung, and co-host SFL CEO Zach Stanley and Nick Steblenko. The Star Fantasy League Show is on the air now.
Hello and welcome to the Star Fantasy League Show here on the Sports Byline USA Network. I'm your host, Jonathan Sprung, joined, as always, by SFL CEO Zach Stanley.
I have a bone to pick with the NBA today, Jonathan.
Okay, as long as it's not a bone to pick with me or Nick Steblenko, Teddy Bear 2, that's fine. What kind of bone?
I feel pretty good about both of you today.
Oh, that's nice.
Well, I mean, I hope that we spend some time talking about it, obviously, because what happened last night was unacceptable.
It was unfortunate, to say the very least.
I'm very upset. I'm very upset you didn't say the word tragedy.
There was a lot more. There was a lot more that went into what happened in that Thunder Clippers game, but ultimately, as far as I'm concerned, the game was decided.
It could turn out to be a tragedy. It isn't a tragedy until it's all over.
Well, we should save all of this NBA talk for Jonathan's mailbag because that will be the main question, obviously, about that game. I am very sad to say that I fell asleep at halftime of that game. I was exhausted. They were up, 13 or 15 at halftime.
You pulled a teddy bear, too.
You know what the funny thing is? I woke up the next morning with the computer next to me in bed just turned off because it ran out of battery. So I was attempting to watch the game.
I was kind of hoping that you were going to say you woke up and staring you right in the face was a defeat to Teddy Bear 2.
The funny thing is we came to the office this morning, Star Fantasy League's headquarters, and neither of us knew who won because I fell asleep and Nick assumed he lost.
Yeah, so. I definitely assumed. You had Chris Paul going at that in the second game, and I unfortunately put my money on the Pacers. So I did have Gortat, though. Gortat was a heck of a story last night.
He's narrowing the gap, and he's got another shot to do it tonight.
This is very true. Maybe I should just defer to you permanently.
Really?
No, because NBA's over. NBA's over anyways.
I'm not
deferring
to him.
No, we're never doing that. Although when we do switch,
you're not in on this.
When we do switch to baseball, guys, on the Star Fantasy League Show, I will be reading my daily lineup breakdown because I'm the amateur here.
Okay,
fine. I'm doing it. We're switching over. But one last time before we switch to baseball, I think we have one more basketball lineup in store, right?
At least.
All right,
Put
Teddy.
it together, baby.
Yeah, Teddy Bear 2, you got some time to come back.
I got some knowledge.
All right, coming after the break, he's breaking down his lineup. We got Jonathan's mailbag and all your value plays you need. And you're listening to the Star Fantasy League Show on the Sports Byline USA Network.
Now, let's get back to it. The Star Fantasy League Show. Feel free to tweet the show at SFL Show.
Let's do this.
Time for your Star Fantasy League's NBA Fantasy Lineup Breakdown.
You heard the man. For one of the very last times this season, we are doing an NBA lineup breakdown. If I sound a little upset, it's because I am. The NBA season is coming to a close fantasy-wise. We clearly still have the Western and Eastern Conference Finals and the Finals, and it's going to be a long, 6 weeks they're going to drag that out, probably?
We're also going to have Thursday slate, too.
I know. I said for one of the last times.
I'm just saying it's good because it could have ended.
Done. Yeah, that's true. Thank you, Washington.
Yeah, thank you, Washington. And I'm really sorry to everybody that had to go to that game last night and spent their hard-earned money to watch Indiana in a clinching game just not even show up.
Yeah, that's not a good sign at all. I'm not sure where they were or why they didn't show up, but
clearly not there.
A good sign.
I mean, we know that this has been a team that has really only performed in the playoffs when their backs are against the wall so far. But it's not an excuse.
No,
and if they really want to play that way, then they're not going to do anything in the next round if they make it.
And for a team that's looking to take the next step, which we've all been waiting to see, that's the exact opposite of what you want to see. And you said it on yesterday's show. When you have your foot on another team's throat, you have to learn how to finish the job.
And if you don't, they're going to be they're turning into zombies and coming back and killing you, right? Is that how it works?
Something like that, yeah.
That's what TV's taught me. If you don't kill the zombie, it comes back.
Yep.
They looked like that Atlanta blowout is what they looked like.
Yeah.
They got dominated in every aspect of the game, and none of the starting five came to play.
And the funny thing is that the Atlanta team couldn't get it done. This Washington team is not a fraud. They can get it done. If you don't kill them, they can come back.
It wouldn't be surprising to see Game 7 forced.
I'm fully expecting Game 7 to happen in this series.
Really?
I'm not fully expecting it.
I mean, Indiana just... Although, the funny thing is Roy Hibbert has only played 2 good games, and both of them have been in Washington.
Played 3 good games.
Sorry, that's what I meant. 2 of his 3 games. 2 of his biggest games happened in Washington.
But his biggest game was in Indiana.
Yes.
Okay.
Don't get out of here. If I'm going off on a tangent...
I just wanted to make sure that was the case.
Yes. Math are hard. All right, we got to get to your lineup, Nick.
He had 42 fantasy points.
Yeah, that's
the game in Indiana.
Little big. Before we get to that, your lovely lineup today, Nick, I have to give my spiel for one of the last and saddest times. $100,000 salary cap on StarFantasyLeagues.com to pick your players. You get 2 guards, 2 forwards, 2 centers, 2 utilities. Any player you want. Stand to the cap. Get the most points. Win the most money.
If you don't understand that by now, stop listening.
Wow.
Hey,
Okay.
don't tell them to stop listening. Maybe what if it's your first time in Rochester listening on the team? Huh?
Well, then you wouldn't have understood it by now because you haven't heard it.
Then stop yelling at
So
them.
that actually makes sense.
Don't yell at our
But
listeners.
if you listen to us every day, then you better freaking get that by now so we can move on.
If you're tired of Zach yelling at our listeners, just come down to the offices of Star Fantasy Leagues. You've seen us. We have little stickers in the
or
windows.
tweet us and we can have a yelling match.
Yeah, yell at us over the internet. Yell at us in Rochester. We don't care. We like yelling.
At
Zach,
Teddy Bear 2 LaRue.
So basically, anybody who types harder gets a louder voice. Is that what we're going with?
yeah, caps lock usually is how you get it.
So basically, if the Spurs or the Heat, either or, win tonight, we will have lost a day of daily fantasy basketball.
How do you get the iPhone permanently on caps lock anyways?
What?
Is that even possible?
You have to be over 65 years old, and it just automatically stays on caps lock.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how
And
it
I
works.
think
Because
you have to be a member.
it goes back every time that you do a cap.
Nope. If you
How are
double
we-
click the arrow, it'll stay on caps.
Oh, yeah,
Really?
that's true.
And if you're a member of the
Double
AARP.
click.
Thank you, AARP, perfectly. All right, we need to get to your lineup. Zach, during the break, I'll tell you how to do that.
I'm gonna look into this right now.
All right. Well, I'm going to start with Tony Parker. That's I think that was your play of the day yesterday, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yawn.
T Park, nothing special there. I got something special.
Did you say
for you,
nothing special that you
Well,
mean like
in our
it's-
lineups.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I mean. We've been doing these playoff lineups. They're going to be so similar every single day, but I
Watch.
found a way to switch it up this
Nick's
time.
going to say something special, and he's going to have Will Barton in his lineup.
I'm not going to have Will Barton.
Damn.
That was close, though.
I have Will Barton.
Not really that close, but you're along the right lines. My second guard is Mario Chalmers.
Why do you find that funny?
Because it's funny because I wanted to see your face when I said it.
You guys listening at home can't see my face.
All
but
right.
I look disgusted,
He-
Zach.
he-
What
he
about
looks
you,
like he
Mario?
just-
Mario Chalmers?
Looks like he bit into a lemon.
What is he at?
9,600.
Oh my God! Never mind.
It's not too bad. He could get 20. He could.
I mean,
I
he's
wanna
been
hear
he actually he's been
I
kind of
want
a
to
roller
hear how the
coaster.
rest of the lineup
Yeah.
plays out before I criticize.
He's been a roller coaster, so I'm hoping
You
that
know,
he gets 15 to 20.
Let's jump to your utilities. Please tell me you have a certain guard in there who's around the exact same price.
What? What are you talking about?
And you said those are your 2 guards.
No,
Do you
I
have,
have, I have LeBron James in my utility spot.
Okay.
This is why my lineup is so high and low. And then I have Manu.
Are you talking about
Manu
Darren
Ginobili.
Collison?
No, I'm talking about Joe Johnson.
Oh,
man.
Darren Collison wouldn't make any sense.
No, he's not even
He's not playing.
No. See, I've done that before. Now you know how it feels.
Joe Johnson. I thought Joe Johnson is at like 11.
10,009. He just said he's at around 10,000.
He's at 9,600.
Okay, that's.
There's no way you can get LeBron in if you don't have some guys that are a little bit lower in there.
I have LeBron James in, and I also have Joe Johnson in.
Who are your lower price guys?
Will Barton.
Okay, there you go. To me, that's a joke.
Okay, it's a
is.
joke. That's fine. Perfectly fine.
Unless it's a blowout.
All right, so we already did both of my utilities. Do you have anything to say about Manu at all? 11,096.
For some reason, I don't have Manu in my lineup.
I would have taken Joe Johnson over Manu.
Yeah?
Manu has just been kind of really quiet, and in blowouts, he hasn't been playing the minutes he normally does.
Ginobili's the guy off the bench that can do great for you, but the thing is, if it actually ends up being a blowout, he's not the guy off the bench that stays in.
Well, I mean,
he gets weird minutes caps.
But you can't blame Pop for doing that. If they're either they're getting
obviously
blown out or
not.
they are blowing
It makes
them
total
out.
sense because
Yeah.
he's still off the bench. He still functions as a starter with the way that he controls the ball, but they take him out if it's a blowout.
Why does he come
When
off the
usually
bench?
every player off the bench actually stays in?
Because he's one of the best 6 men in the league.
But why
Why
off the
would you
bench?
question Greg Popovich's
I know.
rotations?
I'm looking for an explanation from the experts
Because
in
Danny
basketball
Green
over here.
is basically a man-child.
Because they don't have any offensive spurt off the bench.
Yeah, Danny Green's not that guy. He's more well-suited in a starting role alongside Tony Parker.
They don't have any offensive
Okay, so why, though? Why is he suited in the starting role? Okay, so basically what you're saying is he's good off the bench because he provides offense, but if he provides offense anyways, why wouldn't you start him?
He maintains a leadership quality off of the bench that when the younger guys are in with him, he stabilizes the flow of the game.
He can also handle the ball, which helps quite a bit.
Okay, I mean, all of these things that you can find in a starter, I'm not really getting... I guess, whatever, it's not that big of a deal. I'm just curious.
Every team wants a guy like that.
Obviously, it's awesome to have a guy...
You can find a starter that comes off the bench and maintains control with the young bench players? No, you cannot.
Well, why wouldn't you do that with, like, Russell Westbrook, then, or somebody, like, any starter?
Stop. Okay.
Any starter.
All right, we're getting...
This is a guy that can't even play 30 minutes.
Nick, we're getting way off topic here. We got to wrap.
I merely asked because I was curious.
James Harden was off the bench. There's your example.
Okay, why is he starting now? I don't know. Why didn't he start then? Whatever. Anyways, we'll look at my forwards. I have Kawhi Leonard and Paul Pierce.
Yay!
Hooray!
No, I mean, I like Kawhi. Paul's been... Sadly, I think this might be the last ride.
How can you not understand offensive support off the bench?
No. I understand it. What I don't understand is why you would choose to put a player like that off the bench rather than start him, or why you would have, what is the purpose of that when every other team in the league has their best players starting?
Because the plus minus of scoring when the bench comes in fizzles when you don't have a player like that out
there. I understand, but what I'm saying is
you lose your lead.
You could find players like that on every single team. Why is he a particular player that thrives off the bench?
Not every team has a guy that can handle the offense on the second unit.
I think that's more the answer that I was looking for.
That's what he's been saying.
You want somebody that handles the offense better with the second, like facilitates better with the second unit?
That's exactly what he's been saying the whole time.
Whatever. That isn't what you've been saying. But
that is what I've been saying.
No, what you've been saying is he's a good offensive player. Anyways.
That is not what I said.
Anyways.
What a crock.
My two centers. Two centers, I have Chris Bosh, and I have KG in. He's been kind of up and down as well, but if he gets anywhere from 15 to 20 fantasy points, I think that is
he's going to be putting it all on the line tonight. 23 minutes for KG.
Yeah, really. He's going to play maybe more than 20 minutes. I can't trust KG as far as I can throw him, and that's not very far. He's a large man.
I trust him.
Yeah?
I trust him in an elimination game, yeah.
Wow. Anything's possible, right?
Unless they get blown out. Then if they get blown out, it means that he didn't do anything to help, and nobody else did. And
I went more flat. I didn't really want to go with Kevin Garnett. I ended up fitting Robin Lopez in, despite the fact that he's been kind of all over the place. He's kind of ending up around that 20 to 25 range, which is
Robin.
No, do not give fake nicknames to these players. They don't appreciate it. All right, Nick, one of your last times in daily fantasy basketball, a little off the rails.
Yep, I went off the rails because I need the win.
That is true. Desperate man, desperate measures.
Yep.
All right, coming after the break, it's time for John Alt's mailbag. We'll get it.
Good luck, TB2.
All right. You're listening to the Star Fantasy League show on the Sports Byline USA Network.
The Star Fantasy League show. Information is key to being a successful fantasy team owner, and the guys have all the updated info you need right now. Okay, fantasy sports fans.
There's a letter in your mailbox.
Time to dig into Donald's mailbag for your questions and comments.
Read the mail, read the mail, read the mail.
Jump in the game. Send your questions and comments to the Star Fantasy League's team by tweeting at SFL Show.
Welcome back, boys and girls. It's that special time of the day. It's time for Donald's mailbag.
You've been doing the creepy intro to that the past couple of days.
Only for this segment, though, because it's Donald's mailbag. Could it get any creepier?
Welcome, kiddies.
Okay.
Donald's mailbag.
I don't think we have any children listening because, no.
No, just because no.
This is a PG-13 show.
Yeah, please.
It kind of is, considering you can't play daily fantasy under a certain age.
You know what? That actually is true, but you can play probably games, free games, fun games in a format. Yeah, somewhere. Not here.
You can play in your mind.
Not
Star Fantasy Leagues, we do everything we can to make sure you are of age, in a good state. We do all that.
Yeah, nobody's committing any fraud against you. You are... nobody's colluding.
Nick's trying to defraud us every single day on the Star Fantasy League show by trying to get free money.
If you're young, you can play in Imagination Land.
We already pay him.
Yeah, that's true.
And he wants
not
$5.
we. You pay him. I don't pay anybody. All right, we got to jump right into this mailbag. There's some fun stuff going on today.
Just a leech, I suppose.
You heard it right here, folks. Nick's a leech. All right. Chet D writes, the Los Angeles Clippers had an epic collapse on the road in Game 5 against the Thunder. Is there any chance they can recover after such a heartbreaking loss? See, Zach, here it is. Your question on the Clippers. Take the next 20 minutes if you want. I don't care.
Okay. I will.
You probably are.
I definitely could.
See you later, John Olds Mailbag.
we were able to witness the most miserable sequence of plays in Chris Paul's career. A sequence of plays that I wouldn't think that he could possibly put out. It was
sad.
Awful. It was awful. It was, I mean, he's finally got his chance. He's got a team that has matured. He's got one of the top coaches in the league. He's in his prime. And they had 3-2. He had 3-2 going back to Los Angeles on his hands, and he threw it away.
In his hands twice. Mm-hmm. Threw it away. We got a weird turnover that one time when he could have just walked the ball up instead of running as quickly as possible trying to go. He
committed the foul. He turned it over at the end of the game. I mean, it was brutal to watch.
Well,
and as we talked about at the beginning of the show, the foul. And, or the foul that wasn't called and the out-of-bounds ball that was clearly off of Reggie Jackson. I don't even think Matt Barnes touched the ball. But the bottom line is that the game still could have been won.
So I'm curious, though. Obviously, the ball didn't go out off of the Clippers. It didn't go off there, but they missed the call. They missed the foul. So does that change your mind about anything?
Well,
obviously they can't go back on a foul.
Doc Rivers spoke to that it was a foul, number one, and number two, they started trying to milk the clock down the stretch. They weren't being assertive on offense. Then they started giving away turnovers, and the game collapsed, and so on. But the point was that regardless of the missed call, they still should have had a better chance to win the game. There's no going back on that missed call.
Well, yeah, considering they were up 13
There's no going back on it. They can't review the call.
They were up 13 with 5 minutes left and 7 with 42 seconds left, and they figured out a way to lose that game.
Yeah. The thing that drives me the craziest? Russell Westbrook had a fantastic game, by the way. 38 points. The thing that drives me nuts, though, that play that he got the 3-point foul on was a classic Westbrook throw-up. And the only reason that they were able to get to the line was because of a terrible, terrible foul.
Yeah,
the only reason they had a shot, that wouldn't have gone in.
No, and his form on those type of shots is a lunging form.
It's so bad.
So it puts him in a position to get
I don't know. I don't know why you wouldn't just back off and let him take that.
No,
it's just he literally just goes right up, doesn't even consider it, doesn't consider getting a better look, and that was just a classic Russell Westbrook
shot. He knows
shot,
that
and he
now.
got lucky.
He knows, CP3 knows that now, and it was disappointing that, he should have had a chance to rebound from his poor play and still solidify that game. But then he still had a chance to do it, and I honestly thought that I was not certain in any way, but I thought there was a very good chance that he was going to make that final shot, and he didn't even get a shot up.
Nope.
You know what's really funny? Westbrook and Durant kind of switched bodies for this game. Westbrook was 11 for 23, had, as you said, a really solid game. Durant was 6 of 22. They literally switched shooting. That's usually what Westbrook does.
Yeah, it's usually the opposite when Westbrook has a bad game. That's because Kevin Durant rarely has a bad game.
Yeah, that's true. Here's the big thing, though. 26 of 28 combined from the free throw line. That is monster. There were way too many free throws in this game.
Yeah, I thought there was a decent chance that he was going to miss one of those free throws, and he
looked. Did you see his face? He looked locked in.
Yeah, iced him. The question about Russell Westbrook has never been about his athleticism or his skill. It's about his efficiency. He throws up these wild shots, and he really doesn't consider the actual flow of the offense.
He forgets the best player in the league is, to his left.
Yeah, but you could look at Durant's game and say, hey, maybe he takes some ill-advised shots, but he's amazing at making them. He can make those shots. There isn't a shot in the game he can't make. So when you question him, there really is no questioning him.
Well, what happens if Chris Paul doesn't foul him on that three? He ends up missing that shot like an idiot.
Game over. Yeah.
And
series over.
Which is exactly what happened last game.
Yep.
Exactly. He jacks up a three, doesn't get the ball in the hands of Durant.
He got extremely lucky this time around.
All right, you know what the best part that comes out of this? We're probably going to get more of this series, probably going to get a Game 7, so we're going to have probably, 4 more days to talk about this.
I really hope we get a Game 7. This has been one of the best series I've ever seen.
Nobody is out of any game. This has been a series of comebacks.
It has been great.
Nobody is out.
On that note, we have to move on. Bob D. writes, Stan Van Gundy passed up a chance to coach the Warriors and instead took a job with the Detroit Pistons as coach and head of basketball operations. Did he make a mistake?
Why is it that Van Gundy's name always comes up as soon as there's a coaching vacancy?
Because Stan Van Gundy is a pretty solid head coach. He got thrown out of Orlando because Dwight Howard's a moron.
I think that, first of all, I think this is the type of team that caters more to Stan Van Gundy's style of coaching and basketball.
Could be, yeah.
And I also think that it's a more favorable position for him because Golden State coming off 51-31 record, that's a team that needs to make a run next year.
Well, but they talked about
Stan Van
how
Gundy's not going to get fired after next year.
Yeah, but they talked about how they needed a coach that was going to take them from where they are to the next level, meaning getting them up into the top 3 of the Western Conference. Don't you think somebody with that kind of experience is just what you need in Golden State?
They wanted to hire him, they just wouldn't give him.
Yeah, it's not arguing whether it's best for them. It's arguing.
No, that's what I mean. Well, for him, but isn't that a better situation for the amount of experience that he had?
No, because for him to go up from there is a little bit more difficult. He has a pretty solid core of players in Detroit, some high picks coming, and I think that he's got it's obvious that he has much more room to improve in Detroit, improve that team. Increases longevity, and I also think that the front office is going to have more flexibility.
Well, and he's going to be making a lot of like Joe Laco's probably not going to allow. He didn't want to allow him to make his own basketball moves as a GM, which is terrible. I mean, the guy clearly knows what he's doing. Let him do. I mean, there's not that much track record of coaches being front office guys having success at the same time. That's the problem.
I get the argument that the Detroit job there's a lot more room to improve. That maybe it's a little bit of an easier situation because you can make so many different moves. But what I'm getting at is who is suited for the job in Golden State, because obviously it's more difficult to improve on such a good record like that. I would expect that as a coach that's been in the league for so long, maybe you want to challenge yourself, put yourself in the situation where you actually have a chance to run for a championship in the next 2 years.
It's possible, but like you said, he does have a lot of growing room with this team. Detroit, right in the middle on offense, 14th in the league, and the 4th worst overall defense. So there's a lot of room to improve.
And also, Stan Van Gundy, isn't he joining as president as well?
Yeah, so I'm saying he's head of basketball operations.
So he's joining I think he's getting a lot more power in the position than he would have gotten in Golden State.
That's true.
He's looking at hiring Otis Smith as his general manager.
Who he had in Orlando.
Who he worked with in Orlando. I think he just ended up getting everything that he wanted.
That's exactly what he wanted. Yeah. That's all. He said to Golden State, I want this. They said no, and he said, see you later.
It all makes sense. I'm just very curious to see who's going to step up to a challenge in Golden State like that.
That'll be. Well, we're going to talk about it as it continues to, because they're looking. They're trying to woo Steve Kerr. Doesn't make sense to me, but whatever. Yeah. All right, last question. Dylan W. writes, Marc-Andre Fleury couldn't stop the Rangers from advancing to the conference finals on Tuesday. Which team do you see joining them on Wednesday, Boston or Montreal?
I picked Montreal at the beginning. I'm sticking with it. I think they've outplayed Boston the whole way. As far as Marc-Andre Fleury in this game, obviously they didn't give up a lot of goals.
You picked Montreal to win this series?
Yeah.
Oh. Did you say in 7 or 6?
I said in 6.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
They're in 7. I still think they're going to win.
They had a chance to win in 6.
They certainly did. No, they didn't. They were down 3-2.
Well, no, if they had won that overtime game.
Anyway, watching Fleury in this game versus Lundqvist, it was like day and night. There were a couple of plays where Fleury was just completely discombobulated, so shaky, just so out of it. I can't remember what the shot total was, but I think
18.
They hovered. That's nothing.
20, he has 18 saves, 20 shots. But
that's nothing.
Hold on.
He should be able to get that done.
Is this like a Mighty Ducks movie where you see like the Mighty Ducks getting 100 shots against, they're just getting peppered, and then they somehow get one crap goal and win?
It's really the style of hockey that the Rangers play. They try to block shots, keep everything in front of them, and Henrik's numbers in Game 7s are unbelievable. He's like 5-1 with a 1.0 goals against.
They rely on their goaltender, and that makes total sense with how good he is. It looks like Bausma is on his way out. I mean, it's honestly hard to really blame him.
It really is. But when you throw 35 shots on goal, you should be able to get more than one goal.
But inevitably, that's what ends up happening.
Yep.
Is that the blame is pushed on the coach, and this is a massive collapse for a talented team.
Yeah, and how about where was Sidney Crosby? He was absent in this series. Exactly.
Were you sure he was in on the ice?
No, I mean he really was absent. It's very important to look at that, because when you have a star player that's not able to get things done, that doesn't fall on the coach. A star player gets it done no matter who's the coach. So it's we'll see. That could be telling for his career overall. I don't know.
All I know is that I want to ask one simple question to close it out. Sidney Crosby, where are you?
Cindy?
Sydney.
Cindy?
Yes, Cindy Crosby. Where are you? All right,
Cindy Crosby.
Coming up after the break, we got value plays for Thursday. Oh my God, it's Thursday on StarFantasyLeagues.com.
Over the hump.
You're listening to the Star Fantasy League show on the Sports Byline USA Network.
Play fantasy sports for cash prizes. Join the top daily and weekly fantasy leagues in the country at StarFantasyLeagues.com. Now, back to the Star Fantasy League show with Donald, Teddy Bear 2, and the Deucey Moose. Only on the team.
It is time to break down value for only 2 sports. I'm very kind of upset about that. No, we don't have hockey talk with Nick Steblenko.
You're upset?
Yeah,
I'm
because
in tears.
Well, I like not having to listen for 3 minutes.
What? How rude.
Only 5 more months and we'll be doing it again.
Heck yeah.
Those months go by quick, especially because it's the summer months.
You know what? As we get down to the end here, it is sad to lose the daily fantasy aspect, but it's only going to get more exciting as the games wear on.
We're not going to stop talking about hockey completely. If there's a story that comes up, we're still going to talk about it.
Thank you. You just made my day.
Yeah.
I'll wipe away the tears and start focusing on baseball.
All right.
Go Ducks.
We're going to get into basketball first. There's some basketball happening. Did you guys know that?
When?
When?
Hey, you know what? That's a valid question, considering the NBA likes to toss games all over.
Yeah, that is. Oh, at least in NBA we have 2-2-2-2.
They have been doing that.
What do you think the chances are, and I'm just going to go on a quick aside right now, that either Portland or Brooklyn wins tonight? I mean,
I'll put it at like 30%.
That one of them wins.
Yep.
I think it's.
I'll put it at like 20.
I think it's lower. It's probably around a 1. You think a 1 in 5 chance?
One of them?
I don't see either team winning one of these games.
I don't really see it either.
Yeah, I was like,
I think if I had to take a team to win, it would be Brooklyn.
Really?
Which sounds crazy, but I just can't see a
Brooklyn
young Portland
on the road
team coming into San Antonio after they got their one win in.
Yeah, I don't think Pop's going to let that happen.
No,
I don't.
No,
I could see the rest of the Heat team kind of taking one off. Obviously, I don't think LeBron's going to take one off, but I could see the rest of the Heat team mailing it in.
Tonight he goes for 50. Yeah. Not really.
He had a chance to go for 50, and then he said, oops, I don't shoot free throws.
I think he'll be doing the facilitating tonight because he does anything to help out his team.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom.
That was some very good sarcasm. I appreciate that.
That's talking head Zach. That's talking head Zach right there.
That's very true.
Occasionally on the Star Fantasy League show, we'll talk like talking heads. Didn't you see that news story?
Welcome back to the show.
Perfect. All right, we got 2 games to talk about. There's not really that much to talk about. Indiana, Washington, we've been on the Bradley Beal train. He's been solid. Continues to be solid. You'd be stupid not to take him.
Yeah, I also think that a lot of these players on Indiana, you can't really weigh last game against them, I don't think.
No, it was also a huge blowout.
I wouldn't shy away from them, and I also think that they've shown it doesn't really matter where they're playing. They can be inconsistent wherever they are.
Mm-hmm. I mean, now's the time to get it done, though. So,
I think they're going to put it out there, and I think Paul George is a must.
I don't have him as a must. He has had his two biggest games in this in the series at Washington, so that kind of helps.
But out of the top price guys, and obviously that's kind of a little bit of a wider number now in the playoffs.
He's much lower than the top price guys.
Much lower, yeah.
So, I mean, it's almost like the value is just too good to pass up on.
Yeah, there are a couple guys that are lower that you're able to put in. Like, let's talk about Steven Adams. We've joked about throwing him in, then taking him out and throwing him.
I had him in one of those nights.
Not one of those. Oh,
no, not one of the good games, but I had him in one of them. I saved my 800 from Perkins to Adams.
Man, Tuesday night, he had an explosion. He played 23 minutes. He played solid.
He was blocking.
The announcers were all talking about how great he was playing, how strong he looked.
He was dunking.
He was doing everything. He's a little punk, too. I love him. He throws elbows around.
He's a guy that you enjoy coming off the bench on your team.
He's basically a young Perk.
He's a pain in my butt.
He's a young Perk. When Perk could move and, jaw and accept.
When could Perk move?
He could move. His first 2 years in the league with Boston, he looked good.
Oh, he could move, baby.
He could dunk the ball. Now he's like,
yeah. He's like a big block.
Yeah, he really is. In this game, I still like all the big names. Durant has been so solid. Chris Paul has been Chris Paul had a really crappy game. They still had 37 or 38. So.
Yeah, Chris Paul's going to control this entire game for the Clippers, and
congratulations.
He's going to put everything on the line. I think he's going to have one of his standout games.
Yeah, congratulations to Blake Griffin for finally waking up in the series. He's back.
I mean, he was the top scorer for LA, right? Not for fantasy points. I mean, actual points.
He gained a lot of confidence from that game. Game 4.
Yep.
Yeah,
for sure. He went off in that game.
All right, we got to pick winners of the night, top plays, despite the fact that there isn't really that much going on. 2 games. You want to go for Paul George?
No, I'm going with your guy. that you love to pick? Chris Paul.
Okay, I was like, who is my guy?
I'm
It
going
has to
with
be
Chris
CP3.
Paul. I think with everything on the line and what happened last game, I don't think he's going to shy away. I think he's going to show up like a true playoff MVP does.
All right, we like to advocate picking different people, but I'd be stupid to pick against the guy that I pick ever. This is my Corey Crawford.
Well, you haven't been right every time.
No, we haven't been
so
right.
that's why I'm using this time to be right, because I know I'm going to be right.
Yeah, it's going to be Chris Paul.
I'm kind of surprised neither of you thinks that the MVP of the league is just going to shut it down tomorrow night.
I have, in my lineup that I made, I have Durant and Chris Paul. So
I mean, obviously you can do that, but I got to imagine that he's going to come out with fire,
in
too.
Game 4, we saw that he could score 40 and get 7 boards and still not win the game.
That's true.
Correct.
So, that's true. But for fantasy points, you got to love that.
That's true.
All right,
But he's at, what is he at, 23?
22. All right, let's move on to MLB, Major League Baseball is how you pronounce that.
Stanology.
It's time for Stanology. These are stats you need to look at that you might not be looking at to help you make your smartest picks for daily fantasy baseball.
That's true. And today we are studying year-to-year trends, which is a wonderful little segment, and I'll tell you about it right now. The two most reliable hitting stats are strikeouts and home run percentages, okay? So that is big when you're looking at first of all, power is so huge in daily fantasy.
Yeah, you don't want those dink and dunk single guys. They don't help you.
Yeah, and it's such a perk. If you're not looking at home run percentage, then you're just screwing yourself. Because
strong words.
Because it's such a big deal. If you have a guy that can get power, what is percentage per at bat that he gets a home run? It's something you got to do.
What's a solid?
And you have an
home run
advantage
percentage,
over
though?
anybody that's not doing that.
What's a solid home run percentage? I mean, are we talking like 10%, 20%?
10%.
I mean, 10%. Okay, so what? Yeah. So even that's a little high.
1 in
right?
10 at bats. Yeah, that's a little high.
Yeah,
I would
That's
say
really high.
I would say probably 0.06.
Okay.
6%.
6%, pretty solid.
That's pretty high.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have that down. Another thing regarding batting is that walks, slugging, and on-base percentage are more reliable than the batting average.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure.
Yeah, I've noticed that the stats that weigh more heavily away from batting average are always better. That's why I've been using the weighted OBA, because it encapsulates all of those things into one instead of going, oh, well, I like this, got this average, this, that. It just puts it into one nice little metric.
Yeah, it really does. Weighted OBA is really one of the best.
That's where that's where I've been on lately.
A guy that gets a lot of walks too is very patient at the plate too. So you know that they're very good at reading pitchers. They're very good at seeing pitches come out of a pitcher's hand. So and anytime you get on base, you have a chance to score. That's always going to help.
Yeah,
so.
when you can pick up points like that, you're going to pick up a point for just getting on base with a walk, and you're increasing your percentage chances of producing more.
I feel like a lot of daily fantasy players would look at the flashier stat of batting average, because if they hit, you feel like that's going to be more helpful. But really, seriously, any on-base percentage has got to be weighted a little bit more heavily.
Even for pitchers, like the most basic stat like ERA can be really misleading.
Which brings me to pitchers. Thank you, Jonald.
Perfect. Transition.
Segue.
I meant to do that.
Strikeouts are the most consistent stat with a coefficient of determination of 0.68, which is more than both walks and hits, which is also good for the daily fantasy player because strikeouts matter the most.
That is correct. What kind of thing do you look at for strikeout? Do you look out for strikeout percentage? Do you look at strikeouts over 9 innings? What are we looking at?
Strikeouts per 9 innings,
Okay,
I think is the way to go. You want a guy that puts up a lot of strikeouts over 9 innings and also stays in the game. So if a guy is pitching 7.5 innings per start, that's something that you really want to look at.
Now,
Unless he's getting shelled, and you're just kind of sad.
Now, in terms of regression, because I've been reading quite a bit about how you regress towards the league average and whatnot.
And certain things.
Yeah, okay, so for strikeouts over 9 innings, is that something that you could see people regressing, or is that something where that's a stat that you see?
You're a strikeout pitcher.
You're a strikeout
pitcher.
Yeah.
And that's the reason that we're talking about it in a year-to-year aspect. These are long-term numbers that you can rely upon, especially unless you have a guy that's getting really old, has seen a significant decrease over the past 3 years, stuff like that.
A la Derek
One
Jeter.
more thing, ERA is the least consistent stat with a coefficient of determination of 0.25, which is lower than batting average.
That's just sad. I always list it because if somebody's got a really bloated ERA, you want to see why it is. You want to look into what it is. Or if they have a really low ERA, see if they're getting lucky, all that good stuff. BA, BIP, it leads into all that stuff. All right, so we got to get into it. We only have 5 games on the slate. That's why we're talking about really quickly. I couldn't find 3 pitchers that I liked.
Really?
Can anybody please help me? I have the obvious 2 that I'm assuming you guys are going to be on.
Who's that?
And tell me if you're against it. I like Yordano Ventura.
My pitcher of the day.
Yeah, going up against Baltimore. And I like Nathan Eovaldi Eovaldi going against San Francisco despite being on the road.
The one thing I will say, I'm a little bit nervous about Ventura because he's had some trouble with his control, and he actually has a pretty high rate of walks over 9 innings. He's at 3.19. So just a little nervous, but at the same time, I think the matchup is pretty solid. I know Baltimore has some pretty solid hitters in there, but I think he's pretty solid.
However, he's got a 3-to-1 K to walk ratio. He faced Baltimore 4 starts ago, pitched 8 innings, 7 hits, 8 Ks.
Yeah, and also, he's got one of the highest strikeout per 9 inning ratios, 9.35. That's something you just mentioned.
And the Orioles are striking out at a clip of 22% versus right-handed pitchers this year.
That's, I would say I was looking into the batting against the weighted OBA against righties for Baltimore. Not very good.
Nope.
I'll throw you a third pitcher. I like Danny Salazar.
Oh, my.
I know that's not necessarily the best matchup going up against Toronto, but look at his numbers. He's got a 10.8 strike over 9 inning ratio. His BABIP is actually a little high, so I think that's going to regress. He's at 380. I think that he's actually done really well. He's a good strikeout pitcher.
He's nearing 8 walks per 9 innings, though. That's something, getting people on base just easily, especially against his Toronto team. You get people on base, Joey Bats brings him in, Melky can bring him in, Encarnacion can bring him in.
Here's the other thing, though. He's going up against a pitcher in Toronto by the name of J.A. Happ. He's terrible.
Hapless J.A. Happ.
So what I really think I could see happening is Cleveland actually getting out in front, giving him a lead to work with, and then hopefully he'll be able to hang on.
Yeah, if they could keep him in for a while with all those strikeouts that he can get, then you end up sneaking off with a win as well.
Yeah. I mean, again, this is value. He is at 8,145, so you're looking for maybe 5 or 6 fantasy points out of him.
Yeah,
really isn't that bad.
I ended up putting in Dylan G for my third guy only because going up against a rookie in the Yankees.
Yeah, but you got to remember he's not pitching against that rookie directly. So he's going up against the Yankees.
I'm saying it's an easier way to get a win when you're going up against a young guy like that. Likely probably going to get shelled. We don't know anything about him at all.
I really wish we could throw in some of the earlier guys. There's some guys in the earlier games that would be nice.
That's going to be a problem. All right, let's go to the batters. Who do you guys like? Again, not very many batter versus pitcher stats to look at. There are a couple, though.
A few.
The one that I noticed that I really like, especially this is my value of the day, Billy Butler. Actually, I think we've had him as our value day multiple times now. 41-33 starfantasyleagues.com, 8 for 15, 2 doubles, 1 triple for that guy. That's very difficult, and 2 home runs.
I'm looking at stacking Cleveland.
Yeah,
Cleveland because of the pitching matchup. I think, like I said, they could get out in front really quickly. A bunch of righties and switch hitters out there. Mike Aviles, Asdrubal Cabrera, Carlos Santana, Nick Swisher, and Yan Gomes are all
no Brantley.
Well, Brantley's a little bit higher. He's a lefty, so I mean, if you want to throw him in there, absolutely. But I mean, there's a good possible stack there, and all of those guys are under or around 6,000.
Yeah, despite being a lefty on lefty, Brantley's still batting 367 WOBA, which is really impressive for lefty on lefty.
Very good. That's very good.
Above average.
And I'm valuing Pablo Sandoval.
I love Pablo.
Who's at 3,600, has done well versus Eovaldi, but whatever the heck that means.
Yeah.
And he's coming around, I think. It's 6 hits in the last 4 games, and at least 1 hit in 8 of his last 10. He had a rough start. His average was down around 160 at one point. It's crept up to 193. Here he comes.
In that same game, did you see Stanton's numbers against Matt Cain?
Yeah, Giancarlo's my play of the day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Of course,
I think we're all going to be kind of on the Giancarlo Stanton because, like I said, there's not really that many numbers. 5 games, not much to look at.
Yeah, and Matt Cain's actually a reverse split pitcher, allowing .316 batting average to right-handed batters.
Uh-oh, you used batting average. How dare you? Don't do that.
I know.
Ah, man.
We just said
not to use it, then they use it. All right, coming after the break, we're recapping all of our value plays of the day for Thursday on StarFantasyLeagues.com, and you're listening to the Star Fantasy League Show on the Sports Byline USA Network.
You're listening to the Star Fantasy League Show. Contact the StarFantasyLeagues.com guys via Twitter at SFL Show.
It's that time once again to tweet us at SFL Show if you want to have your voices or your faces or your names heard.
We're wrapping it up like G-Love.
Okay, we're not doing any of that. We got to give your...
to say goodbye.
No, we're not saying goodbye. We're not doing anything like that. We're recapping our value plays of the day on StarFantasyLeagues.com for Thursday.
Thanks for checking in, folks.
NBA, we're starting. Zach and I love CP3. Kevin Durant probably in the running too, but CP3...
That's my pick.
CP3 needs to win.
Dollar per point, CP3.
Yeah, correct. He could easily have 50. I expect it, 45 to 50, somewhere around there.
80.
All right, Major League Baseball, since we are kind of switching to that for our bread and butter, we're each picking our daily guys, but I think we're agreeing a lot since it's only a 5-game slate. Zach, who do you got for your pitcher and your batter?
My pitcher of the day is Yordano Ventura, dominant, and Giancarlo Stanton.
Yep. You know what? I'm going with
at 10,672.
I'm going with the exact combination. You know what? I'm going to do a little something different. I'm going to go with Joey Bats, Bautista, and Yordano Ventura, just to make it a little different. And what about you, Nick?
I'm going to stick with Salazar. I think he's a value play, of course, but obviously he's not going to be top notch. But I wanted to switch it up. I have to go consensus on Giancarlo though. I can't find anybody as good as
Salazar.
Oh my!
Value pick. You guys wanted. You took the top. You took the top guys. I will take the value.
Sometimes
pick.
we end up having to eat it when
there.
Nick does this. It actually works out for him.
Yeah, once
you mean
in
like
a
when
blue
I picked
moon.
Brandon Moss for yesterday, 20 fantasy points. Let's go.
All right, that will actually wrap up the Star Fantasy League show. Man, it's so exciting to be talking about baseball now. Now that we're getting into it, we get all these different stats, Stanology every single day, bringing us a different way to look at. You got to look at everything.
It really is fun. I mean, looking over the numbers is kind of crazy. It's a little mind-boggling.
A lot. Yeah, make sure when you're doing daily fantasy baseball, if you see one number you like, make sure to look at a couple other things to make sure that's not just a flash in the pan.
Yeah, look
type
at the
stat.
other 300 numbers that you have to look at.
There might be 10,475,000 stats.
At the same time, there's always a little chance in there.
That's true.
Just a little.
But you know what? You have a chance to get free money on StarFantasyLeagues.com. Tweet us at SFL Show. You get $5 free in your account. Thousands of dollars in guaranteed prize pools every single day. We got free rolls every day.
Tweet me at SFL Zach. We can have a yelling match like Nick and I did earlier in the show.
You can't yell over the internet.
Caps
Stop
lock.
it.
Loud.
Caps lock.
Tweet hard.
Oh
I just learned how to do caps lock on my iPhone.
That is true. Zach actually just learned today.
Permanent caps lock, that is.
All right. And if you guys can tell us where the heck Sidney Crosby went, seriously, just help us out.
There you go.
Tell us.
Take it easy, guys.
See.